once again. Live once again.
Are we plugged in?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, good.
They're all in indication. Confidence is high here.
Confidence is high.
So, hey everybody. Welcome to the Jimmy Doane Show. We are live twice a week right here on Facebook. 4 o'clock New York time.
Why do you see New York? It's East time.
Because every time I say Eastern time, you say, well, is it standard or is it regular time? And you always question, so New York time, everybody knows.
Okay.
It's easy, it's better. So, no editors, no filters, no net, no control.
Yeah.
We're right here. Anyway, you can find us here. You can find us on YouTube and Twitter in video format, probably on Gab and Parler also. And then around the web in audio format, if you search for Doane, D-O-A-N-E, we'll be there. So join us, and today is the second day of August 2020. And
now that's one thing that we do that I have noticed, even some of the really popular
nobody does it like we do.
No,
man.
I know, but they never tell the date or the time or anything.
I know. I watched a podcast the other day for 20 minutes before I realized it was a year old.
Right. Well, that's and then a lot of them they'll just say this is number 1300. Yeah. Well, okay.
Right. Uh-huh.
Joe Rogan does that.
Yeah.
Well, where was the last one? Whatever.
Yeah. Who knows? But
Who knows?
We know when you listen to us, you know where you're at.
That's right. We started right off. That's exactly
Or
right.
where we are.
Sunday.
Anyway. Mm-hmm.
A nice Sunday. Well, what happened today? A couple things at top of the news. We just a few minutes ago we had a splashdown.
Yes, and I have got the splashdown.
Do you?
On video. We'll play it at the end here. We'll go.
Okay. At any rate, interesting enough. How long have Doug and
Doug and Bob? Yeah.
Bob and Doug McKenzie. I mean, and it was funny because I was watching it live. And in fact, what's his name? The Daily Wire. He was also Shapiro's channel was showing it, but also it was on NASA's channel. Mm-hmm. Same thing, and it was not very exciting, But
well, it's a splashdown,
Well, I know.
It would have been exciting if it had burned up,
I suppose that's why you go to the races.
That's
to see a car crash. No, it was absolutely textbook, literally to the second. I mean, it was amazing how close it was to the second. And of course, they had they were supposed to. At one point, they might have landed in the Atlantic, except there's a big storm out there.
Yeah.
So they put it right over near Pensacola.
They had all the redundancies.
They had all the redundancies, everything. And Elon Musk said that this was the last time. Apparently, the heat shield, or they don't have a shield. It's an ablative shield that boils away.
Ew.
Well, that's what happens. I
Okay.
mean, when you boil something away, it takes the heat.
Yeah.
With it. So that's what it does. But he said he's working on a new way, and I'm going to talk about him again on some other stuff that he's doing. Mm-hmm. But it's but basically it was absolutely. I mean, it was perfect. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, really. They were just amazing. It had it's right off Pensacola is where it landed down, and they had the boats run out there. And,
sharks.
Yeah, that's right, sharks. Yeah, but no, I don't think they had any sharks, and I didn't watch the whole thing, but they had the shot from inside the capsule and everything a little bit. Not as good as the video on my car, but it's okay.
Yeah.
But at any rate, good luck. Successful.
Go Elon. Go us.
Really well. I mean, it was just as fantastic when you can think that this can be done now. El Cheapo. I mean, instead of tens of billions of dollars, it's like
100 million or 200 million or
something, whatever it is. It's really a bargain. Well, of course, it's interesting because one of the other things that is happening is the Starlink.
Oh yeah,
the Starlink.
That's another Elon thing.
SpaceX says Starlink internet is seeing the extraordinary demand. Now, this is another Elon Musk thing, right? And what he's done is putting up 1,000 of these satellites. They're CubeSats or something.
Yeah.
But they all interconnect and everything. And he's talking in here that says its nascent satellite internet service called Starlink has already seen an extraordinary demand. They've got 700,000 people that want to sign up for it. It's basically supposedly designed to not so much a competition for the cable companies yet, but it's supposed to be able to hit, at remote spots, and you have full-blown high-speed internet in the middle of the African desert.
Nice.
And and they said the latency is just, you can still play video games. It's the latency. Yeah, I mean the fact is that when you're doing the thing here, it's a 20 millisecond I think delay is what they said, the latency, which is enough. It's enough for you to not stutter when you do it, apparently. So that's amazing. I mean, that's just truly amazing. I mean, here's a guy who's drilling holes, in the
he's
ground.
Doing everything. Richest guy in the world.
Yeah. Well, he is.
He for a brief period of time.
Oh, was that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Bezos went over him. Jeff, right?
They're playing leapfrog or something.
They're playing leapfrog. So anyway, it's Starlink seeing extraordinary demand from potential customers. Elon Musk's company is said in filing that 700,000 individuals, and they said that. Let's see, it says here. Let me get my glasses. I was trying to make the print smaller so it would fit on just a couple of pages. It's interconnected 12,000 small satellites.
Wow. High-speed
internet to the world. And they're going to start off between U.S. and Canada on their beta testing. It's an ambitious, they said that previously it will cost the company about, now listen to this, for 12,000 satellites it's going to cost them about $10 billion or more to do all that. What are you talking about?
It's $1 million bucks a satellite.
Yeah, that's nothing. And he said they expect, they recently valuing SpaceX at $44 billion. So who knows? But my point is that if it works out as well as it might, you could see some serious competition, and maybe your cable bills will take a nosedive. So anyway, we watched the splashdown, and we can see that and everything. SpaceX, extraordinary demand. Let's see what else I got here. Okay, speaking of tech, the tech people testified.
Yes.
The big three of them, whatever. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Masters of the universe.
Bezos, and what happened was they submitted their opening statements ahead of time, and it was really kind of funny. The opening statements, of course, were. We got competition. What are you talking about? I mean, we're getting beat up in this.
Right.
Just because they're making a few bucks. Yeah, okay, but capitalism, blah blah blah, and this, that, and the other. So they released their openings.
The Earth is not, in fact, the center of the universe.
That's right. Unsurprisingly, Bezos, Pachi, Zuckerberg, and Cook claimed that their businesses were good for the American economy. And he said that Amazon is often, as Bezos said, and it's true, there's a bunch of businesses on Amazon. You can sell through Amazon. They take a little cut. Same thing with Apple. You can, if you come up with your little app, they take a cut.
Sure.
But you get paid a lot.
Look, they've made, as they all pointed out, they have employed and made millions of millionaires.
Right.
And it's been fantastic. Not good enough.
Not good enough. Well, no, because
the lawmakers.
Yeah, the lawmakers. They can't stand to see somebody else rich, way richer than they are. I mean, these guys could buy and sell those guys up there on Capitol Hill 100 times over. So anyway, Zuckerberg made his case that the Facebook is instrumental in connecting the world, which is a global good. Well, it does. I mean, it does connect the world. They all took time to address obviously the antitrust concerns.
Right.
No need to do that here.
Yeah.
No. We got competition here.
Well, I mean, Amazon, for all they have, they're fighting Walmart. And
right. Well, that's what he said. He says, in this day and age, literally. And I've seen them out here, especially with this COVID business. They don't even want you in the stores. What you do is you call them up, and literally it's curbside. You drive. It's faster than fast food. You drive. I'm serious. I went through Hardee's the other day, and it took like 20 minutes. There was nobody there. I'm it.
Yeah.
And I was figuring, are you closed? Anyway, but literally, when you call up and you drive over to Home Depot or Walmart or any of these places,
big screen TV.
Yeah, they wheel it out and put it in your car. I mean, bang, done. It's just amazing how it's even faster than Amazon. You know.
Yeah, actually, it can be, obviously, because it can be same day.
Same day for sure.
Yeah.
And it's interesting, the only shipping charge is the gas that you use to get over there.
That's it. And that's not much.
No.
So, I agree. Best Buy, look, they've got competition. But, again...
Yeah, and of course there's some people, and I'm going to talk about that.
Do you think that's good enough, though? Do you think they're going to break them up?
You know, that's a good question. I don't. I think that these guys have learned their lesson from Microsoft, from Bill Gates, when he was just a kid when he went up there, and they bamboozled him because he tried to make the logical case that that was the thing. He tried to use reason on them.
Okay.
And, you know, boy, stupid.
Yeah, no.
And
where's your pony, man?
That's it, right? No, I mean really, and that was, and he's young. And when he was up there, I don't know what he was. He was in his 30s probably or something,
right.
20s or 30s or something. He's just a kid against those guys. You know, they rolled him, and they made him bust off, Internet Explorer. Because that was the big deal, was that Internet Explorer was, and of course what he was telling them was, they don't have to use Internet Explorer.
Right.
They can download Netscape if they want to, and use that as their default browser.
I saw some opinion article, I think it was from a representative of some type, who said that the companies would be more valuable broken up.
Yeah, well, right.
It's just one backing of their plan.
Yeah.
But you don't think they'll do it, huh?
No, I think they're going to stay away, unless somebody stumbles, like has happened today.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, what happened today, that Twitter decided to censor the videos of the doctors on Capitol Hill.
Oh, well, yeah. Well, they did that. Yeah, that was a few days ago.
A few days ago, right. And they kicked and they locked Breitbart's account.
Right.
And they basically, this is, shades of what was the other guy that everybody...
Jones?
Yeah,
Alex
Jones, right. Yeah, they everybody's, on his thing. Now, fortunately, of course, he has his own sales and website and everything like that.
Yeah.
But they censored, they yanked off the video that the people were putting up of these doctors. And it was just, you do that and, you're asking for it.
Yeah. Well, I guess it's because, of course, they're putting themselves in the position of being the arbiters of truth about HQZ or whatever.
Right. Harlequin, whatever it's called.
Hydroxychloroquine.
Yeah, well, close enough. So, yeah, but I mean, it's interesting because I did see another study, if you want to call it that, by a renowned doctor, whatever it is, that said, yeah, that works early. You get it early on. You get the zinc and the antibiotic in with the hydroxychloroquine, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And it does have a definite measurable effect.
Right. I mean, look, it's impossible to deny that those people are actual doctors,
right,
and that they're actually treating people.
Right.
As we talked about last time, is so they've got a patient set that's less vulnerable or something like that, but you can't just throw the whole thing out. That's baby with bathwater type thing. It'll be interesting to see if they get. I mean, one would imagine they could get sued, or I don't know. I'm still waiting for the other shoe to drop on this whether or not they're going to interfere thing.
Yeah. Well, I got something else here.
And it'll all come down to the election, really.
Oh yeah. Well, that's the other thing, is we're going to see how much all the news goes away after the election. And I saw some people that are the lefty people are panic stricken about the mail-in business because, like in Washington State, they've had mandatory mail-in apparently for a number of years now, and no noticeable.
I don't understand why we can't do it online. I don't understand why we're using U.S. mail. I mean, why are we advancing to the U.S. mail?
You got me.
I mean, what are they talking about? What are you talking about?
Yeah.
I can literally do it on my phone.
Yeah.
I mean, what? Somebody can't make a voting app? You can't have Bank of America?
Yeah.
With all their security? I mean, it doesn't make any sense that they would go to. I mean, I guess. And look, also, something like 85% of people are online these days. I mean...
Yeah. Well, they always talk about, well, what about the people that aren't online? I said, there's nobody that I know. I mean, the fact is, you can get online. Here...
They're not going to vote.
We're talking about the United States, okay?
Right.
Nobody cannot be online.
Exactly.
Even if it's dial-up, for
Within
God's
minutes.
sakes, you're online.
Yeah, exactly.
And the computers are free.
You have to shun it to not be there.
You absolutely do. And I mean, when you think about it, I would imagine that, well, in fact, it's true. If you go out here to the junkyard, you can get a computer that works.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, and it'll run Windows 7 or 8 or 10 or something. And if you want, I mean, it's just...
Plug it right in.
Plug it right in and go, yeah. So the... let's see, there were some other things here that I thought were kind of important. Let me just...
Well, I think if the tech people, to me, the big watershed will be what news comes and goes in the next 3 months here as the election approaches.
Yeah.
And whether or not the leaders will be able to construe it as interference or not.
Well, that's the thing. I was listening to two of the super lefties. One is Michael Moore. He has a thing called Rumble, on a podcast on Rumble. And then also the other guy, I can't remember. Anyway, he's been around forever. I listen to he does once a week. In fact, I wrote him a letter saying that he was talking about the 5 or 6 different ways that Trump could steal the election. He had a guest on, and he went through the hyperbole crazy things, about. And then what would happen is, when they had these hypothetical scenarios that were like aliens invaded type stuff. Right. And so I wrote him. I said, "What are you talking about?" I said, "This is you've come up with. You've imagined Alice in Wonderland." And they said, no, this is really this is the kind of stuff that could happen. And he's even said it. He's even said, I'm going to postpone the election. Well, when you look at that particular little thing,
I know.
I mean, that was
funny because the thing about Trump's tweets is some people try to react to them as though they're policy or something. It's like, look, it's a tweet.
Yeah.
It's a tweet. Not only that, it has literally zero impact. I mean, if you're not on Twitter, you don't even know about it.
Well, they did, and that was one of the things he said. He mentioned something about postponing the election. Now, you can imagine, think about it for a second, how many elections are happening on November 3rd? 1 million?
Yeah.
I mean, all the House seats, bunch of Senate seats, not to mention the dog catchers, the sheriffs, the everything else, the school board. I mean, on and on and on in every county in the United States. There's 3,300 counties, and every one of them has got a ballot, this long. And so you're going to postpone? I don't think so.
Would you push back?
Yeah. I mean, are you kidding? Are you nuts?
I got to wash my car.
Yeah, right. No, I mean, you got to be, and not only that, and excuse me. When you realize also that probably in some of these jurisdictions, half the ballots have already been mailed in.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, they're sitting on the desk. They're not going to be retracted. Yeah. And they're going to be counted on that day. And the idea that there would be a postponement is just insanity. And the guy goes through this. This guy, I wish I could remember what his name is. He's been around forever. And no, I mean. But I listen to him religiously every week. He has a podcast out. But this one, he interviewed somebody, and they were going through all the ways that Trump could steal the election. And I was saying, boy, you have to have an imagination.
Russia.
I mean, well, we all know about Russia. He did it last time. Blah blah blah. And I'm going like, have you nuts? I mean, this guy has 1 million people that listen to him and everything. And so I wrote him. I said, "What are you doing? This makes no sense at all." Boy, he chomped back at me and other people. And a bunch of other people glommed on and said, Jimmy is a nutcase for thinking this guy that it couldn't happen here.
Right.
I said, you don't understand the momentum for November 3rd is. It's like 1,000 18-wheelers. You're not going to move that.
No.
So anyway, I just thought it was interesting that they're talking about that. Now, of course, we got some more stuff on the COVID business a little bit.
Okay.
Kodak shares soar 300% in wild ride after Trump taps the former giant to make some chemicals. What do they call them? Generic
drugs.
Generic drugs. Yeah. Now, and of course, people say, "Wait, they're in the paper, but they're in the."
They've been in pharmaceuticals before.
Right, they have done it before, absolutely right. But it was interesting that this is a classic case of the government choosing winners and losers.
Yeah.
And that I'm not happy
Well,
about
I noticed that he's used apparently the act either
Right.
29 or 39 times or something.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
This was the Defense Act or something?
Yeah,
where you can order a company to start making tanks?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And not a peep from the Democrats about the dictatorial powers being invoked at this point. I mean, it's dictatorial powers when he sends 100 armed agents to defend a federal courthouse in Portland, but he can take over 39 companies and nothing. I guess I don't know. I mean,
yeah, it's crazy. So anyway,
I mean,
it's the 33rd use of the Defense Production Act. You're right.
Shouldn't really say take over, but
well, no, but I mean, it's just the 131-year-old imaging companies now on the verge of bankruptcy. Now they've come back from the dead.
Yeah, well,
they need to rename their company Lazarus or something.
Yeah,
coming back from the dead. Anyway, it was worth noting that it wouldn't be Kodak's first foray into the drug industry. In the 1990s, Kodak was involved in the production of non-prescription medicines such as aspirin, and it sold that business to SmithKline Beecham, and so forth. Now, on the COVID business, guess who in October, and we're talking here August, September, 2.5 months away, the Russians are going to start vaccinating.
I heard something about that.
Russia aims to begin mass vaccinations against COVID-19 in October. Russia plans to roll out their vaccine into the general population starting in October, hoping to be the first country to start mass vaccinations against a virus that has killed almost 680,000 people worldwide. And of course, 680,000 people ain't that many.
And the Russian numbers, and I don't know how they count, but they're particularly low.
Well, they might be, but I don't even know how to count in Russian.
Well, that's what I'm saying, is that who knows what the numbers are.
1, 2, 3, das ist Deutsche.
Right.
Whatever, I don't know.
But
it says seeing the effects, they've seen the effects of the coronavirus pandemic strain its healthcare system, and lockdown measures hit the economy, has shortened the trial approval times and sped up clinical evaluations in an attempt to in the race for the vaccine.
over there they got people they can just experiment.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Oh, that one didn't work. Call the
he
morgue.
didn't live.
Call the morgue. That's it.
So I guess it's interesting. It'll be interesting to see if they get something like that done. I will. This is our show image this week is all deaths from all sources across all states. And as you can see, there's a spike here from the end of March until July, and we're almost back to normal.
Okay.
Now this is all deaths, so you can say whatever you want.
Well, let me tell you
about how you're counting.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to tell you a little story here. On Friday, I went up to the Mayo Clinic in Jacksonville for my semi-annual lung examination to see if I'm still alive, which, for those of you who don't know, I had a double lung, a bilateral, as they call it, bilateral lung transplant almost 7 years ago. And my doctor is with the Mayo Clinic. So I go there about every 6 months. And so when I went through all the stuff that there were like 7 tests that you do. You're walking all over the place. I almost did my 10,000 steps, for God's sakes, up there. But at the end, we sat down for about 30 minutes in his office. No masks, close, talking to each other. Not a problem. Not a problem at all.
Oh, you dirty cheaters.
Well, I will say this. The day before, I have a card. I should have brought it over here. I have my card that says asymptomatic. They checked and found I didn't have it.
Yeah, but it's not just asymptomatic. You don't have it, right?
It says asymptomatic. Yeah, right. It says asymptomatic. That's all they could tell.
Right. I guess
with the test. Yeah. But they had their own testing place right there on the place. Right. They had it done in 12 hours. And yeah, of course what they said. I said, I told the nurse there, I said, I'm supposed to be back here tomorrow. I mean,
I thought it took 3 days.
I said, it doesn't take 3 or 4 days or 10 or whatever, something like that. They said, no, we have our own here. And believe me, and I said, so how will I know if I'm okay? It says, if you're not, you'll get a phone call. Yeah. And we will tell you to stay home.
Right.
But obviously, I got no phone call, no nothing. I did get the little card that said, so I used this, I guess I waved this.
Boarding pass.
Boarding, that's right. Your paper, please, your postcard, please.
Yeah, exactly.
And so this will show them that but I thought it was interesting that we spent literally 30 minutes you don't get any closer than this. And he's a lung doctor. Okay, that's his specialty.
Sounds pretty spurious.
I mean, he's the guy that saved my life. He literally is the guy that saved my life. I had, before you get a lung transplant, you're supposed to quit smoking. Well, I didn't.
Ooh.
And so finally he called me up and he says, "You son of a," he lashed out at me. And he said, "You're going to die, this, that, and the other thing." And they have a rule that says you need to be smoke-free for 6 months. Well, after 3 months, I was on my deathbed, and Mrs. Jimmy called up down there and said, "Listen, you need to do something today." And boy, it was like a day or two later, they called up and said, "Come on down. We found some lungs." And so, and the lungs were only 24 years old.
Woohoo!
Yeah, so, that now they're 31. So, anyway, I just thought it was interesting that Russia has decided to rush ahead on this. Russia, yes, okay, that's cute.
Well, let's see, I got another, there is one other, and speaking of international COVID situations, here's a picture of the Germans protesting against their restrictions.
Really?
Yeah, they're not happy.
No, they're not.
As you can imagine. But it's still, from all indications at this point, it appears Sweden has won.
Yeah.
And we'll see. I haven't seen any new numbers about any spikes. I haven't seen any hit pieces on Sweden this week. So they may be too far in the clear for even a hit piece at this point.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. Because you want to scare the crap out of everybody if you can, and that would be the perfect thing.
Right.
Would be if they have another bump.
Yeah.
See, everybody get your mask on.
Yeah, and I keep hearing things like, well, Sweden didn't really save their economy.
Yeah.
And except that, like, all of their companies are up this quarter, like, in a way that is different from everybody else's. If you go look at the economics, they did, in fact.
Well, I thought it was interesting. As I told you, I went over Friday to get my lung check, and one of the checks is they have this fairly good sized machine that you breathe, you huff and puff, you breathe into it, you deep breath out, you expel it, and all this kind of stuff, and it all records it on the computer. But interestingly enough, before I started that, he said, "I'm going to be back in a few minutes," and he had to go get a complete uniform. He had to get dressed up like he was in a stage 4 bio plant or something.
Okay.
I mean, the mask, the everything. He was because I was going to be breathing out and huffing and puffing into this machine.
Yeah.
And so.
Well, and it's interesting that to me illustrates another thing that I've seen this week is people complaining about people wearing the mask wrong.
Yeah.
And there's even ticketing people for it, as we talked about last week in Miami. But it's look, here's the deal. The mask isn't there to protect you.
Yeah.
So if you're wearing it wrong, all that means is, I mean, if your nose is exposed, you're still not sneezing on anybody.
No.
So it's not any real difference.
Yeah.
And then you look at the surgical masks. It's a little piece of paper that's it's inches out from your.
Well, what was great? Yeah, right. Well, I thought it was great because my mask, Miss Jimmy didn't like it, but my mask got little kitty cats on it.
Yeah, yeah.
And I had people say, "That's a nice mask,"
See?
Okay, yeah. But it was still interesting to see the difference in people that as they're walking from the parking lot to the hospital, they're not wearing they either are or aren't wearing their mask.
Yeah.
And then you see people alone in their car wearing the mask. What are you talking about? You nutcase. It's not that bad. So
Yeah.
Anyway, so I asked him, I said, what is the determining factors when you can have an all clear? Mm-hmm. No more masks needed. Mm-hmm. Everything's open today. And what they're trying to do, it seems to me, is every time you turn around, they're having a new wave of something, and now they're talking about the vaccine probably won't, Fiduci, whatever it is, this guy said that maybe next year sometime.
Well, now he suggested goggles may be necessary.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah,
I did hear that. Now, one of the things that I find interesting about this is, of course, We're coming up on Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
We're coming up on Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, voting is November 3rd. And then Christmas. And if you think for 2 seconds that people are going to be wearing their masks around at Christmas time, kids, okay, yeah, good luck.
Yeah.
Not a chance.
Well, look, and not only that, but school. Look,
Yeah.
everything is going to change here, so long as there's not a real secondary spike in those deaths that we just put up there. If we get another mountain like that, then all bets are off. Who knows what we're going to do? But if we don't, if that doesn't happen, and it looks as though Sweden has won, and Italy has burned through its thing, and New York has burned through their people, and everybody realizes, look, there were some vulnerable people, they got hurt, and it's over, then everybody goes back to what they're doing in the fall. And I think, honestly, the big fight is going to be over the schools this fall, because I mean, it involves everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody is going to be fighting over this fall.
Yeah, they are. That's really amazing. And what I find fascinating, of course, one of the things that is November 3rd here locally is the school board election. There's some school board members up for election, and
when I
there's
say
a bunch
this fall,
of them, too.
I really mean like tomorrow. I think some schools start tomorrow.
Well, here in Florida, I think they went out to the 24th. I think.
Okay.
On a lot of.
Well, it used to be, we used to start in about the third week of August here all the time.
Really?
Yeah, that's when it typically.
When I was growing up, we would start this. We would always wait till after Labor Day. In September, it's first week in September.
Oh yeah, no, we're always getting in there at the end of August, but.
Just in time for the Labor Day vacation.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. Bring everybody back and send them all home.
Yep. Okay, well, it's of course it was interesting that they still want to scare everybody. I noticed here that the Goldman Sachs CEO was a DJ at an expensive.
Oh yeah, we talked about that one.
Oh, did we?
Yeah.
Okay, and I won't have to mess it. We did. Did we also talk about the Chicago mayor? She's a trip. She blames the guns from other states for all the killing.
We did not mention that, and
Okay.
yeah, and of course the big hole in that argument is how come there's not a whole bunch of violence in those other states?
Right. Right.
I mean,
people are. Yeah. Can you imagine? They're running down there to Indiana or whatever it is, and they and buying a gun, and then driving all the way back to Chicago
To
and
do
in
some
fact,
violence, right?
We're talking about going to up to Chicago, which is all the
Right.
way through the state.
Yeah. Well, yeah. You got
I mean, it's not South. It's not South Illinois,
Right.
Where it is. It's up on the lake.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, look, it doesn't. Look, there's people who are afraid of the guns need to realize for every homicide in America every year, there are in excess of 35,000 guns.
Okay.
For every single homicide.
Yeah.
If the guns were causing the homicides, they'd be doing a better job. So it's just not that.
Yeah, I mean, but you got to train the gun.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, you got to train him. It's like a dog or something. You know, you got to change sit and everything. And if you got
They must have a bunch of violent guns up
yeah,
in
that's
Chicago
the other
area.
thing. You have a nice gun, whatever it is. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Well,
anyway, she's a trip. You look at her and you wonder. No, I mean, I'm not.
Don't go there.
I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to go there. I did notice that the Fed has extended the emergency lending programs through the end of the year. Now, that's the Fed printing money. And that's the money that they give to this is the bailout money that they've done. They've decided that nobody's going to go broke as long as they're at the wheel. And so they're just going to keep printing it and bailing things out. The Federal Reserve Board on Tuesday announced an extension through December 31st of its lending facilities that were scheduled to expire around September 30th. So it's a 3-month extension. And of course the question is, when that expires, is there going to be another 3-month extension? As you know, they're already, as we say, if you're in for a pound, you're in for a penny, in for a pound.
Yeah, but
And
there's a threshold event in November that changes.
That's true.
everything.
That is true. And I also read something today, speaking about the threshold event. I was listening to Scott Adams today. Did you hear him today?
No.
Okay, well, he said that it's pretty obvious to a lot of people that that Demento is sliding down the hill.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, said that they're keeping him under wraps, and the question is, can they keep him, out of the spotlight until?
They can if they don't do the debates.
Well, they're not going to do the debate. As I say, one of those people has already laid out the conditions for the debates, which are unacceptable. Trump has to show his tax returns for the last 10 years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was one of the things. That was one of the conditions.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
well, that's a non-starter.
Right. So we wanted a debate.
Yeah,
but Trump just wouldn't show his tax returns.
Tax returns. Yeah, everybody else has. Joe has.
That's right. So because he wouldn't jump through all these hoops, we're not going to go up and give our ideas about how to save the country.
That's right.
You can just guess.
Well, as I said, apparently Scott may be on the more of an insider on some of this stuff, but he said that his informants, gossipy people, whatever it is that he trusts,
right.
He said he doesn't generally trust anybody, but this particular one.
I saw a clip of Joe within the last month where he spoke for 30 minutes.
Okay.
And did not sound demented.
Okay. Good.
So I mean that's good news. I mean it can't be, when you compare him to his old clips, he doesn't look as as sharp as he used to be maybe, but I mean you can find, I'm sure, times when he was kicking butt, and maybe he can recover a little bit of that, but it'll be interesting to see how it plays out.
Yeah, it will be. According to what Scott is saying, is he doesn't think he can hold it together for 2 more months or 3 more months. Once it starts downhill, it goes fast. And
well, if that's the case, then we'll all know.
We will.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
Yeah.
Then what are you going to do?
Well, you get the vice president, whoever that is.
Yeah. Well, yeah. But who? You can imagine the smoke-filled rooms on that one.
Oh my God. That's what's going on right now.
Yeah.
I would bet.
Yeah, I would bet.
And Joe, to me, I would think. I mean, they've pushed Joe around so much over the years that they may be in a position to be able to push him around right now, in that sense. They may be able to just say, look, this is what you're going to do, and this is what's going to happen.
Yeah, but the problem is if he goes into certified dementia anytime, it's not going to look good.
He just resigns and he gives it over to the vice president.
Yeah, 25th Amendment. Okay. All right, the next thing I've got here, continuing along.
Now one thing I'll say about, since you brought up Scott Adams, I guess,
now, Scott Adams, for those of you who don't know, has a Periscope every day, live Periscope every day at 10 o'clock in the morning, Eastern Time. So if you're out there, he's at 7 o'clock in the morning.
He did something the other day that I thought was really good. He took about 5 minutes and he went into why all data is wrong these days. Yeah.
Data are wrong.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
So that's the whole point, is that you can't trust anything these days in terms of numbers. If you hear 400 miles of wall or $400 billion or whatever it is, you question that. Question every damn piece of data that's out there.
Okay.
And he went into why, and otherwise I would do it, but it was a really good little segment.
Well, you can go back on Periscope, or actually he's on the iTunes also.
I watch him on YouTube.
Right.
So, and then you can watch it at 1.5 speed, which is super important for Scott.
Yeah, that's right.
Because he's a little droney.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, you want to get through that in a hurry. And something just flashed through my mind, and I forgot what it was. About did I mention that the Consumer Electronics Show is going to... I did that already. How about Germany troops?
Yes.
We did that? Sure. Okay. I remember that. I think so. I mean, I remember it was on the schedule for Wednesday, but I don't know if we've done it. That's okay.
Well, he said Trump said he's taking people out.
Yeah, well, when you look at it, it's not as much as you think.
Yeah, well,
they're going to a couple of weeks ago they were going to reposition some, but into
like
Poland,
10,000.
Yes,
and we've got like 30 or 40,000 over there or something.
Yeah, at least, right? Yeah, they're going to. They're going to. I guess the troops in Germany were supposed to defend us against Russia.
Yeah, I mean exactly. Like what do you?
Do you think the Russian tanks are going to roll through Poland?
The Russian economy is still about the size of Spain's economy.
Yeah, I mean,
at this
seriously.
Point, so,
Seriously.
not too worried about it.
Okay. Starlink. Oh, yeah. And the SpaceX. Did I talk about Starlink?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me just finish off on that. An invitation in the mail for election fraud. There's an anecdotal thing that a guy put in. He said he'd moved to Texas a couple of months ago, and his ballot, his Washington State ballot, had been forwarded to him in Texas. So he's got a ballot for the Washington State stuff, and he said if he could submit it, how are they going to know? Obviously, they haven't. With what they haven't done, obviously, when they purge the rolls, everybody goes into complete uproar, and they only purge them like every couple of years. I mean, you can go for years with the name not being on there, dead people and everything.
Yeah, so it's totally loosey-goosey with voting is concerned. I mean, and there's still people out there who are advocating you don't need an ID. Like, you don't need an ID. Why would you need an ID to go vote? I mean, what are the odds you're going to do it twice, right? Why would you do that?
Well, as they say, vote early and vote often. Okay, one of the last things I've got here is, did you see that the document dump on Jazlane Maxwell document dump?
I did see a little bit of that, but
okay, well, let me tell you, it was so heavily redacted it was nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, these were the documents from the 2015 when he was arrested or something, or she was, whatever the deal was. Anyway, they looked at it. It says, so this is in 2015. These are the documents from there. After years of back and forth between lawyers and for alleged Jeffrey Epstein accomplice Jazlane Maxwell and Epstein accuser Virginia Jeffrey, or whatever her name is, the judge allowed the documents from the 2015 civil case to be unsealed. It's supposed to have been sealed and everything, but they pierced the veil or whatever it was. But what you got to see was nothing. Every name on the place was redacted. I mean, what they were really hoping for, I think Bill Clinton's name might have been in there once or something. And also another one is the lawyer. Dershowitz, yeah, his name's on there. But everybody else, nothing, zero.
Well, what I saw was accusations all over the place. And it was Tipper Gore and Al Gore were on the island. And so was Matt Groening from Simpsons. Look, the woman is obviously lying. I'll tell you how I think she's lying is because she's implicating Dershowitz. I mean, of all the people you want to, this guy, he is a lawyer. I mean, he's an academic. He is not a player.
Right.
I mean, you just gotta look at the guy.
Yeah.
And look, through the decades, you just know, and he's countersuing her and everything, and there doesn't seem to be, she has lost, from my perspective, all credibility. But look, I'll just advise everybody, these are all accusations at this point.
Okay.
So just wait and see what comes out. Or people say, well, how can Bill Clinton survive this? Well, it's just an accusation at this point.
Yeah.
When we get some confirmation. So we have confirmation that he was on the island, not confirmation, we have somebody's report.
Well, there's that picture, for God's sakes. What are you talking about?
The
painting. Blue dress. Give me a break. I mean, what a picture.
Well, that's great, but it doesn't prove anything.
I know. Somebody just made it up
for him. That could have been, look, this is the best practical joke ever. Look, ha ha ha. We'll put this out, and we'll invite him and show. I mean, it could be anything. You never know what it is, and so you have to wait for all that stuff to come out in the wash, and I'll wait.
Okay, well, we'll see. We're gonna have some kind of exciting times here for the next couple of months. As I say, the fear mongers are in full bore. I mean, they're in high dudgeon or whatever it is, because they got to keep the fear going so that people
we expect that from the press.
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing, is the press is in cahoots with all this. Okay, the last thing I've got here is Trump. This is kind of interesting. Trump says he plans to bar Tick-Tock from operating in the U.S. And I'm thinking, why?
Well, there was some indication early on, 6 months ago or something, that Tick-Tock was just an app created by the Chinese government to collect information from.
Okay. But who doesn't?
Well, no, I'm with you there. The question is,
when you think about it, hardly a day goes by that you don't have some multi-million person breach of a government database or a private database, and suddenly, YouTube admits, they said, well, yeah, there were 2 million people that somebody got all the info. Well, this happens all the time, for God's sake.
Yeah, well, even more than that, it's allowed. That is to say, I mean, they're the programs you can go to.
Right.
You can ask the computer, what programs are following my browser and everywhere I go. And it'll give you a list of 17 different programs on your phone or on your computer that know every single URL you visit and keep track of it all.
I'm going to have to
categorize it, figure out what you might want to buy, and that's how they pitch those advertisements to you all the time. But see, to me, that's nothing. There's no problem with that. I mean, the only thing you have to keep secret from the bad guys is the military secrets. Stuff that's super high grade that could be weaponized pretty quick. You don't really need to keep economic data from Huawei or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And so, but I mean, that's sort of the thing. Now, of course, Trump was the victim of that sort of hoaxy reservations for his.
Right. Yes.
For his speech.
Right.
So I don't know. Maybe he's got a personal vendetta against TikTok, but it's an extremely popular app. It's amazing to me that.
Oh, it's millions, and of course, I think even they've offered to sell the U.S. portion of it to Microsoft. Microsoft said they'll buy it.
I can't understand how do they beat out Instagram and Snapchat and these other ones?
Well, it's not a done deal yet.
Right.
But apparently Microsoft is up there and trying to.
It's
buy
like
it.
network effect or something that's creating the market for these because.
Yeah.
I don't see how they do anything different from any of the other apps.
No, that's the thing. I mean, when you think about it. Although I will say one thing, I did finally today got my VPN installed.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh.
I got one. It's called. And I went on the list, and it was like the number 3 down there, but it's good. It's cheap. It's like $3 a month, and then it works. It comes up with a little thing there that says.
I'll tell you what I do sometimes for fun is I just sign out of Google and then go on YouTube and see what it suggests for me. And it turns out it's pet videos, and there's two big areas. One of them is pet videos. I can't remember what the other one is, but it's like everything is those two areas.
Well, I don't see where he gets off myself. He's going to use some power that he's got to, executive standard to say, going to ban TikTok from.
It's got to be a national security issue.
No, well, of course I'm saying, but look, the kind of information they collect. Give me a break.
That's what I'm saying. It's who do we sell tennis shoes to?
Yeah, I mean, and you think about it. Of course, it's worldwide. TikTok is.
Okay.
It's not just China. It's a Chinese thing. They all use it over there.
Yeah, some countries already banned it though. I think.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, I think the UK or somebody.
They might have. Let me just see here. It says if Microsoft did acquire TikTok, it would make a major rival to Facebook, Google's YouTube, and other tech giants overnight, dramatically reshaping the U.S. social media landscape. The prospect of a forced sale came amid growing concerns among U.S. officials that the Chinese government could access users' private data. Well, of course, what's private anymore? I mean, you give it all up, for God's sakes.
Yeah.
When you think about it, you just go ahead and type your name in there and see what comes up one of these days.
Mm-hmm. All right, that's all you got?
Yes.
Okay, well, I got a couple minutes. I can fill up here. Let's see. All right, solutions first. Just repeat real quick. There's a couple of solutions to the big problems that are looming right now. The big problem of the cops and all that. Easy peasy. Just eliminate the victimless crimes.
Right.
It's an easy, safe way to eliminate millions of police interactions with citizens every day if you just eliminate the crimes where nobody cares. Nobody cares.
Right.
And yet we send cops out to these situations every day, a million times a day. And so no, you could just eliminate all that stuff, save everybody. Easy.
Well, of course, what they'll say, some of those, when they say, they'll always fall back on this, society is the victim. Okay.
Yeah, no, I know. And also, some kid, they'll always say, well, the kid couldn't make up his mind because the drug dealer sold him the drugs at the fence of the middle school. Bullshit. It never happens like that.
Yeah.
Ever happens like that. It doesn't. That's not what happens. And if you're talking about kids, the parents need to protect them. If you're talking about adults, they can make their own damn choices. So that's one easy way. The second huge looming crisis on the horizon, which may hit any moment, is the schools.
Yes.
I literally expect a kaboom like the XB-32 space modulator might produce because everybody is going to want to send their kids back to school this fall. We're talking about tens of millions of people. And the control group, that is the people who make the decisions for the schools, has been narrowed from all of the principals around the country to whoever executives are in charge in the various places, the municipalities and the counties and the states.
Well, yeah, I mean, our governor, by himself, said we're changing the opening date to such and such.
There you go.
Bang, done, one guy.
And so this, to me, is gonna really illustrate the conflict between the people and the government, and then over the next couple of months here, as parents fight for their right to educate their kids the way that they want to.
Well, not only that, of course, as Mark Twain, there's another player in this thing, and that's the teachers' union.
Right.
I mean, that's a huge.
And
that's
Scott
the national
has
and the
opened up
local.
a can on them.
My God, are you kidding me?
He has
That's
declared
a big
war.
one. And of course, as Mark Twain said, God invented stupidity for practice, and then he perfected it with the school board. And that's Mark Twain's little thing. So we have here, of course, the school boards two of the districts are open, and they're running like crazy. Who was it? I forgot what it was here locally. We've got a resignation of our federal House guy. Our local federal House guy, and there's like 20 people running for that seat. And I'm telling you, the stuff that they are. You talk about the spectrum.
Yeah.
I mean, they're from the commie, give it all away.
I've done a podcast with my buddy Tom Wells, who's super liberal.
Yeah.
And he's in on that race.
Oh my God.
And so go Tom.
Go Tom. Yeah.
But yeah, so it'll be interesting to see, I think, how the fight with the schools shakes out.
And the
Because people are doing the math right now. Like, hey, we pay how much per student?
Yeah.
And the teachers get how much?
Yeah.
And the administrators get how much more? And where does the rest of the money go?
Yeah.
And I mean, and supplies, and you can't even, you don't even have pencils at the damn school?
Yeah. Well, no, that's what I look at is over here at the health club. Of course, not that many people are going, but they have a bag there where you can put pencils, and it has a list: pencils and paper, notebooks,
Insanity.
and all this stuff.
$10,000 a student. You can't pay for it.
And you can't even.
No,
I remember
they're robbing people, and it's going to become very obvious. And look, if you're a teacher and this pisses you off, just remember: if you're a good teacher, you're going to have a job,
right?
Because people want to educate their kids,
right? And
they're going to pay to educate their kids. They're going to find a way to get you the money to educate their kids if you're a decent teacher. So anybody who's worth their salt is going to be fine, and everybody who's riding like a tick on the back of society here.
Well, see, but that's they have tenure.
Well, I know, but look, the whole thing's going to shake out this fall, I think, or at least there's going to be a massive fight, because how can you? It's just, there was a school in Georgia that opened up. 300 kids, and then 270 of them got coronavirus. 75% have no symptoms.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
But 26% of them do, or something. So it's like, okay, well, how do we?
That adds up to more than 100%.
No, I went to government school.
There you go.
So anyway, we'll see how this all shakes out and how the people go. But I'm curious to see.
Well, I'm meeting with. On Tuesday, my next door neighbor is running for the school board.
Oh, okay. Find out what her
we've set up an appointment on Tuesday. I'm going to drill in on her and find out.
Right. All right, bailout 2.0 is on the way. The House passed a $1.3 trillion bill.
Really?
Yeah, but the Senate says it's DOA because only 20% of the money is for the people, and 80% of it is for like state governments and schools.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And stuff like that. And so we'll see. Now, the House, the Senate had their own version, but they're saying that they can't get the two together. I think they will.
Well, didn't yesterday the $600 thingy expire?
I think maybe, yeah.
It was yesterday, right?
Yeah.
And of course, they were scrambling to try and put that back. And of course, the Senate said, or Trump, somebody said 400, and there was a big scream about that. I think everybody's back up to 600. And of course, Mrs. Jimmy's hoping for the $1,200 check again.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
and I even heard at one point it was going to be $1,800.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Why not? Yeah. Well, once you've opened up the spigot.
Well, they've already, yeah, exactly. The spigot's on flow. Everybody's like, hey, wait a minute. And so we'll see how this turns out.
Can we get a larger pipe in here?
Yeah, exactly. All right. Let's see here. Let's see. Lots of mind reading and stuff going on.
Yeah.
Even, let's see. We did that. Dead air. Here we go. Did you see Ellen?
Yes. What's up with that?
I don't know. I mean, I get maybe people are suggesting she's nasty in person. Or something.
They said she's really nasty. Apparently,
she seems like a sweetheart whenever she's talking.
She does. I mean, she's a sweetheart, almost like Oprah. I mean, she gives away stuff.
Right. You get a car.
That's right. Oprah, that was Oprah. But I mean, seriously, she has people on, and they get all kinds of stuff. She's like the nicest person on the planet.
I know. Well, and then she made the killer mistake. She apologized.
Oh, no, you don't want to do that.
Yeah, exactly. So they took that bait, and now they're doubling down.
I'll tell you, this is one thing you don't.
Never apologize, never explain. So, of course, we had 2 deaths this week. Herman Cain.
Yes.
Of course, guy who lifted himself up from the Marines to own a Godfather's Pizza franchise, run for president. I mean, what an American story.
What unbelievable. I mean, it was. Now, he did have... I think he had a bout with cancer 10 or 12 years ago.
Yeah, but he survived.
Survived that.
Yeah.
But now he, of course, he went to the rallies with no mask and stuff.
Yeah.
And they're saying that Trump killed him.
Right. I know. I have friends.
Trump killed him.
Right. I know. See, this is more of the. This is like, look. Do you want him arrested for murder? I mean, because go ahead. Impeach him for murder.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Yeah. And so no, of course, there's no possible way anybody could figure out where he got it from, but they're going to infer that it was from
they are you kidding? The people that I listen, some of the lefties that I listen to, I like to get, I know this sounds crazy because Ms. Jimmy says, you can't listen to that crap. I said, well, you got to know what they're saying.
Right.
And so forth. But literally, there's 2 or 3 people that have, hundreds of thousands of listeners. They said Trump murdered him.
Yeah, I know.
Murdered him.
Right, I know. Forget about his agency, his intelligence, nothing. And he wore a mask. I mean, he wore masks. He wasn't anti-mask. He was just anti-mask mandate. So
Apparently, he did not wear a mask to some rally.
Oh well, maybe that was the Tulsa rally or something.
It was one of those.
From what I understand, he regularly wore his mask.
I understood that when he was around Trump, because Trump wasn't wearing one.
Right.
He didn't wear one.
Okay, well, whatever. It's gone now. So, and the other one is John Lewis, of course.
Yeah.
And civil rights guy, and lunch counters, and all that good stuff. But of course, Obama turned his funeral to a political rally.
It was. And
he compared the troops today to the George Wallace troops of. Oh, I mean,
it was worse than that. It was unbelievable what he came up with at this thing was. Even some of the lefties.
If he could have said the KKK.
Yeah. Well, it was an out and out blatant political speech.
Right.
And even there were people that sat there and said, wait a minute, this is a funeral, right?
Now, he was a political guy, so, Lewis, and so, okay, you want to say something about the voting rights thing, okay, and push that or whatever, but I think the consensus
Well, he had to say something bad about Trump.
Yeah, well, obviously.
But it was really bad. I mean, even George Bush, he was okay.
Yeah, he did a
nice little thing there, whatever. And but of course
can't leave it alone.
No. Well, I was one of those people that, yes, you got beat up. Yes, you were in the front lines. Yes, you helped do this, that, and the other thing, and so forth. But 34 years in Congress, and they're talking about being the conscience of the Congress, and I'm thinking, no, not really.
Whatever. I mean, he did what he did. He made some strides, made some inroads. But so there's that. And then let's see. Oh, did you see there's a new microchip out there called the Prodigy Chip.
Really?
Which apparently uses an order of magnitude less energy.
Really?
Yes, and it's going to dramatically change the energy consumption of the big players.
Wow.
And so when that thing gets propagated,
I wonder how they did that. Because I got.
Let me tell you.
Yeah. Okay. Let me tell you. Right. Well, I remember reading about the way the chips came around, and the early chips were, they were pretty big, and they had like 4 transistors, on the
Okay.
on the chip. And they were started to use them for the space program, and they were like thousands of dollars each for these RTL chips. They were flip flops or something like that.
Right.
And but it came right along, and of course Moore's law came in this. But I saw a electron microscope of what they're doing, and they've got the wires now down to where you can't get them any thinner.
Well, yeah, that's the issue I think that they solved. That was one of the things.
Okay, because literally when you see
power loss at the wires.
wow.
Yeah.
Well, I do know that the
Using
freeze
some semiconducting material type.
Okay, well that's good
technology.
to know, because they do have them where you drip them in water that's minus 300 degrees or something, and the electricity flows pretty quickly that way.
Yeah, I don't know, but watch out for the Prodigy Chip. So we'll see.
We'll see. That's because, of course, they're desperately trying to get the quantum stuff up to
Yeah,
speed.
yeah. Well, that's not this. This all it does the same thing the other chips do. It just uses 1/10 of the power.
Wow,
So that's nice.
that is amazing. Yeah,
Yeah.
that is amazing. When you think about it, you see on YouTube and everything, you can see the original Univacs, those things that had 10,000 or 20,000 tubes.
Oh yeah, yeah,
And-
yeah.
And I mean, they used. I mean, they Niagara Falls would stop flowing because of the electricity drain out of the generators. But
Yeah.
they were just.
Well, and those big cloud computing take up a massive, massive amount of power.
And they do. And what's interesting about it is they've got them down to where they only use nano watts, whatever, per one.
Right.
But there's 1,000 or 2. Have you seen the room that they're in?
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, and they've got the computers are like this in racks and racks and racks of them.
Mm-hmm.
And you got it was interesting because when the tubes were still even the early IBMs that were transistorized used a phenomenal amount of power, and when you went to build your computer room, you had to have it up off the thing so the cooling and the wires and everything could go underneath and keep the whole place cool.
Yeah. Well,
that was your big expense, was the cooling.
yeah, and apparently that's still the way it is out at the Google place, and where they're doing the searching and stuff. But that could change.
It could change.
So we'll see. And all right, well, we are over time, and I have got to go somewhere. So
Yes.
I'm going to queue up the NASA video here and let you guys see the splashdown.
Private company. Mm-hmm. It's just amazing. Now, instead of billions, it's going to be millions of dollars to go to space. And especially when you talk about Elon is putting 12,000 satellites in orbit for the new
It's amazing.
way to do the phoning and everything. I mean, that's just the web. God, 12,000 satellites. What are you talking
Yeah,
about?
I mean, that took some. Oh, I got one other thing I got to tell you all about. The Digix coin, D-I-G-I-X,
Yeah.
or D-E-G-I-X, D-I-G-E-X. Anyway, it's attached to gold.
Really?
Cryptocurrency, for every Digix coin, you get 1 gram of gold.
Okay.
And the way you get a Digix coin, you can go to the vault and deposit your 1 gram of gold, and they'll give you a Digix coin. Or you can, of course, buy them on the net. Still, I mean, I was looking around trying to buy one last night.
You have to have money, right?
Yeah, you gotta have that, and it's still you gotta go through 2 or 3 networks. You gotta buy some Ethereum first, and then trade it to.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because it's on the Ethereum blockchain.
Okay.
But it is a potential game changer, I think. So we'll see if it
Yeah,
catches
once you have
on.
something tied to gold, well, I'll tell you, like you said,
Exactly. And that's what this thing said. They said it's 100% backed by gold.
can't go wrong there.
I don't
Unless
see how
somebody
you
steals
can.
it.
Well, yeah, I mean, but they can they can always do a bank robbery. But I mean,
Yeah.
then I don't know. Seems all right. So anyway, thank you very much, everybody, for joining us. We appreciate it.
Coming down.
Yeah, there it is, right there.
There's the splashdown.
Kaboom! Gotta love it.
Yeah, you gotta love it. I mean, you know, think how far the space program has done in 50 years or whatever it's been, and now it has gotten so cheap. I mean, it's exponential.
It's great.
I mean, I'm loving it.
So cool.
Oh, and by the way, I meant to tell you, the last of the Mars shots went off this last week.
Oh yeah, we've been.
It's be 2 years now before the next window opens up. So I think the Russians are going to wait for the 2 years for theirs, but you know, then it'll all be new technology.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Of course, the one that we sent up there this time is going to be all brand new technology.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be great.
It's going to be great, and I think it gets there in February.
Yeah, that's about right.
So,
All right. Thanks for joining us, y'all. See you soon. Come back. We'll be here.
so they're going to put that thing on Mars, and then it's going to phone home. Alrighty. Well, have fun
I will.
at your show.
Uh huh.